Okay, in this video we're going to talk about how to add a roof to a front porch with some posts and add a few embellishments also. So let's go ahead and dive in. Okay, so here you can see that we've got a front porch set up here where we do not have post or a beam or a little wall here, returned gable wall. So we're going to go ahead and add these features. So first thing we need to do is let's get some posts put in position, and we'll get a beam set underneath of here, and then we'll fill in this centerpiece here. All right, so first thing we need to do is we understand, well, where does the beam go and how tall are the posts? So let's go look at this section. This section view explains pretty much like what all porches are going to look like on this particular drawing. That the beam setting here is a 2x10 beam, so we'll go ahead and just get a measurement. That the actual height of the beam is 9 1/4. So everything that we're going to be dealing with this beam or the top of the post is going to be based off of TOP. This is that top plate, and it's going to run down by 9 1/4. So with that information, we can go back out to the first floor, and we can start utilizing this porch as my edge for my roof beam. Now, again, wanting to also go back and look at this, the edge of that beam is going to be in line, directly in line with the front of the edge of the post. It's going to slide down. That's directly in line with the foundation. Okay, so really can work off of that foundation to set this post in place, or we can also just get a measurement to work off of the slab. So working from the face of the slab here, you can see it's 1.5 inches in. So we can do this in a few different ways, but let's go back here to first floor. I know that that post is going to be in both directions by 1.5 inches to set the beam, and that would then be in line with the foundation. So let's go ahead and let's go find that beam. We'll go into architecture. First, we'll actually go into structure. We'll go to column. Then we're going to come over and make sure we're using a vertical column, and we'll go ahead and load the family. And we go looking down through here, we'll go in and we're going to find structural, let's see, structural columns. We're looking for wood, and here timber columns, and we're going to go in and find an 8x8. So there's the 8x8, and we'll start bringing that in. Now, this is going to come in, and I'm going to go ahead and just set this in position right here. Once I put this in position, I get this error. None of these elements are visible, so we got to go find where is this element. It's probably down below or being hidden somewhere, so we can go find it and see how to move it in place. So we'll go ahead and just grab a section view, and we'll just pull a section view across here. So I know I'm slicing that beam area in half here, and then let's go see where's the thing going to end up. So let's go ahead and make this detailed. And there it is. So there's my beam dropped in below that first floor. That's fine. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take this and say I want this to go up to TOP, and I want this to be based off of that first floor. So here we are. We're up at the TOP first floor. Well, I really want it sitting down here on my slab. So I'm going to take and I'm going to offset this by 7 inches. So I'll grab that. I'm going to say base offset -7 inches. And then I really want the TOP base offset. That's going to be 9 1/4 inches, because that's going to seat itself down off of, whoops, should be -9 1/4. That's going to seat itself down off of the TOP. That's where the beam is going to sit. Okay, so the beam's going to sit into that position. So now we're ready to go ahead and place the second one. I should be able to go back to my first floor here, and I can go ahead and grab this and then just copy it now that it's in the right place, and go ahead and stick it over here on this side of the porch. Now, I want these in the right position because I'm going to base some stuff off of them. So I'm going to go ahead and measure to make sure I actually have the distance I want. So it's 2 1/4. I don't want that. I want this to be 1 1/2. So I go ahead and put that in at 1 1/2. And we'll go ahead and then just check the other side and make sure the other side is in alignment also. Well, that's 1 inch and we don't want that. We want 1. There we go, 1 1/2. There, it jumps it into position. Okay, so that should be good. Come over here and just double check this one also. So you can see I went ahead and dropped some quick dimensions on here and moved them into position. So that's right in the right position, and so is that one. So now what I'm able to do with the beams in position here, those two front posts, what I can go ahead and do and create a beam that's going to run on top of that. So go ahead and work off of that. I'm still going to be working off my first floor though. All right, so I'll grab a wall, because the wall I'm going to use is actually, the beam is actually just going to be a wall that is named porch beam. All right, so within this porch beam, if I go in and look at this, it's basically just white brake metal is the material that's going to be shown on the outside, and it's 5.5 inches thick. So that's how thick this beam is set to be. And in fact, I could end up setting that up to be, because it's a smaller beam size, we can go ahead and set this up to be that 8-inch beam also. That 8-inch beam is not actually going to be 8 inches. It's going to be 7.5 by 7.5. So let's go ahead and say thickness is 7.5. Hit OK, hit apply, hit OK, and now we're ready to run that beam. But I want to go ahead and set this up so that my base constraint is TOP, and then I'm going to set this down. So my base offset is going to be negative 9.25. So it's sitting down off of that top base. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and draw across from one side to the other. Of course, it says we can't see what's happening here. Well, it's fine because I know it's happening above. So then we should go back to my 3D, and it should be drawing on top of those posts, as you can see here. All right, so that seems like it's working out. We've got to get one more put in position here. So I'll go ahead and align this and just draw that beam. Oh, looks like it's running to the outside just a hair. But what I can do is drop it into position here. Go ahead and grab it, and then just scoot this over to the inside there. All right, so now take and put this up on TOP, and then it'll go ahead and disappear. And now I am looking at my 3D, and you can see I got a beam running around it. All right, well, that's all good. Okay, now we're ready to go ahead and take this beam and run this up to the roof. Now, we'll go ahead and select the beam, and it really doesn't matter a whole lot back in here per se, because these are going to get hidden anyway underneath of the soffit and the fascia, but this front one's definitely going to be seen. So we'll go ahead and do this. We're going to hit this, and we're going to say attach to the roof, and it runs up and is going to be all white. Now, obviously, we don't want a full white face up here. This is where we can add some embellishment to this by splitting this element. Okay, so probably to do this, though, before we split this element, what we should also be doing here is setting up some soffit. I should say some fascia to see just how far down this edge should get covered up. Okay, so to add fascia, we come up here to our roof tool, grab this button that says fascia, and what I'm going to do is go ahead and already grab my my 16th inch brake metal fascia. That way it'll be white. I've already gone into set this up where I've gone into the fascias and I've gone through and I've set that the material is now going to be based off of a material that was built that's just called white paint. Okay. Because I want this to be a nice clean white fascia. So when I come through here, I'll go ahead and grab the edge of the top of the roof here and grab the edge of the top of the roof, and I can even run that fascia back against the house there. Now, what you're going to notice is that that fascia kind of cleans up. There's a nice clean edge here now, zoom in on that, where it's flat. What that fascia does is that sets up where the bottom of what is called that bird box return on underneath of the soffit is placed. And then we're going to go ahead and work off of that line at that point for splitting this front element here. Okay, so that we can then change this front face. So with that all set and good, we can go ahead and set up this split face. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and just turn and look at this so I can see it straight on. And now I want to go ahead and split that face. With that selected, I come up here to the split face tool. I go ahead and I select the split face tool right here. I'm going to go ahead and select what I'm going to actually be splitting. And then I need to draw the geometry of what is going to be different. Okay, so I want to make sure that I'm going to work from this edge. So I'm in line. I'm going to go ahead and draw across, go up, back across here, and then back down. Okay. Now, it says the closed loop used to split the face must lie completely within the face and cannot intersect or overlap any of the edges faces. So what that's telling me is this has got to be scooted in because it's a little bit on the outside. So I'm just going to get it as close as I can here to the outside edges of this particular element, which is a wall. And then we'll go ahead and hit OK and make sure this is going to work for us. Okay, so now we have a split element. So I can now apply another type of material to this edge. So I'll come over here to my materials, which is my paint tools here. I'll go ahead and select those. Then I can go in here and pick whatever material I want to apply. Well, I can use this vinyl siding, or if I wanted to go in here and find something else that I wanted to apply to this area to embellish this a little bit more, I could do that. Let's just see if I have any battboard siding in here. So what do we have here? Battboard siding. Let's actually select this and add it to this piece here, and then we can close out of that. So you can see that we can change this up a little bit, so it has a little bit different vertical look to it for the front porch. Okay, the next thing we'll do is we're going to go ahead and add in some of that soffit and the bird box to the front porch to finish off this detail here. So to first start, what we're going to do is we'll go to that TOP level so we can see where that soffit's going to end up. And what sometimes gets tough to see is seeing through this roof at this particular time to see what's happening underneath it here. So what I usually like to do at this point is I go in and I want to override some of these graphics. So I don't want to see any of these surface patterns because that makes it a whole lot harder to see through. So I'm going in and turning that stuff off. Then what I want to do is I want to go back to architecture, roof, and I want to find that soffit. Okay, so this is where we're going to add soffit to our roof. And here I already have a 1/2 inch continuous vented soffit built up. Pretty simple to take your generic, edit the type, you can duplicate it, rename this to be whatever you want it to be, and then you can go in and set the thickness here to be 1/2 inch, and then call out whatever material. Very similar like any other Revit material build up. So we go ahead, we have this continuous vented soffit set in position, and I always usually just grab this rectangle tool, and then I come to this point. I know it's going to line up directly with this beam, so I find that point, find the front edge, and I like to pull a rectangle all the way back to the house like this, or I would pull to the roof. Doesn't really matter which one I run to at this point, because I'm going to end up filling in the other side shortly anyway. So we'll go ahead and we'll pull to the house on this one. Okay, so with that set, now this is still also base TOP, so I'm going to go ahead and do this as a -9 1/4 inches also. So now let's go back out to the front, see what happened here. So there's my soffit, and that's sitting down here. In fact, it doesn't need to be the bottom of this beam. I'm sorry, that can be up a little bit higher. So let's go find out exactly what that height's going to be. I think it's probably going to be like 6 inches. Probably going to jump right up there. No, not yet. So let's get an actual measurement because I want this to be up here. Oh, you know what? It probably is going to be 0. Yep, it is. It's actually going to be based right off that TOP. So now we have that set in position. That's the soffit. Now we just need to fill in this little corner piece. So to do that, what we need to do is we got to come to component, and what we want to do is called model in place. So we're basically going to do an extrusion. So we'll click model in place, and I'm going to come down and just base this off of my roof structures. And it comes up roof 14. I'll call this bird box 1, just to name it. And now I'm ready to start creating this bird box. So I want to set my view plane or set my work plane. So I hit set, and it's going to say pick a plane. I want that. Hit OK, and I want to base it off of this fascia. So I'm going to slide over this fascia. I'm going to select the fascia. I'm going to grab my extrusion tool. Then I want to go ahead and just look at it straight on. So I want to definitely see the house straight on. And I'm going to draw in 2 closed loop extrusions. So this is going to go from here to the point on the wall that is going to link up with the roof. Okay, so I'm going to do it on this side. And then I always like to use this mirror tool where I'm going to highlight this, and I'm going to select my mirror line and draw straight down through the middle of the part, and then it mirrors to the other side with the geometry that I just drew. So now with that set, that's in position. Now I'm talking about, well, we'll look over here at my extrusion start and end. Well, right now my start doesn't need to be at negative 10 feet. My start can be at 0, and then my overhang is a foot. So I'm going to go ahead and say negative 12 inches. Now, what that's going to do is it's going to then allow me to have an extrusion push back into the house here by 12 inches. Right now, it says material. This is set up for, looks like ridge vent, and I don't want that. I want white. Going to end up using some brake metal here because that's the same white trim or white paint that I'm using anywhere else in here. So let's see, where do I have this? Continuous white metal soffit, white brake metal, we'll use that. Hit OK. And then we're going to go ahead and hit the green check. Now, what that has just done is it's gone ahead and built in, finish the model. It's gone ahead and built in these little bird box returns, okay? This is a slight tedious little process to do in Revit, but it does end up making your model look a whole lot sharper when you want to get into the finishing aspects of a drawing. So hopefully this helps you work through some of those details for setting up your front porch.